And then for our folks in the room, shout out to you all for making it out. We're really excited for our first hybrid event. This is new to us. I'm wondering if I need the mic anymore, or is it too loud?
You might be able to go without it.
Can you all hear me without the mic? I know you guys are pretty loud, but the folks online? Yeah? Okay, cool. Well, hi everyone, welcome in. This is our first hybrid event for the ICT Regional Advisory. Really excited to have you all here, both in person and virtually. Thank you, folks. And before we begin, I just want to do like a brief intro. My name is Isabel Dela Cruz. I'm a project manager for our workforce development portfolio at Valley Vision. And Valley Vision, we act as the regional organizer, convener for our region, focusing in on facilitating things like this, employer and industry convenings, connecting and aligning workforce stakeholders. So we love the connections and the opportunity for you all to network and collaborate, and then also support our regional workforce and economic planning. So working with all different types of stakeholders across our workforce ecosystem. The purpose of this event specifically is really focused on connecting folks and sharing information to improve our ICT programming and our workforce ecosystem. Thank you very much. And I just want to take a quick moment to thank our planning team, Margaret Geisler and Jared Amalong in the room. Thank you both for your support. And also, and Myra Shelley, I don't know if she's here in person, but might be online. Myra, shout out to you as well. Really excited to have this event with you all. So to begin, we're going to pass the mic to Aaron Wilcher. He is the Greater Sacramento Center of Excellence Director, and he'll be providing some labor market information for us to begin with shortly. And then we'll go into the industry panel discussion. We have a host of diverse panelists that can share information and skill sets that you guys can take to your students and your folks that you work with. And then we're grateful to have some community college partners. Some folks join us. To share about their programs and what they're doing in AI, data science, and machine learning, and then some additional programming as well. Then we will conclude. It's not on here, but we should have put it on here. SCOE is putting on a great event, a community of practice for educators and people in the space to collaborate on what they learned today, what they're gonna do with the information shared. So there'll be food for that event, and definitely encourage people to participate. Jared, is there an online portion for that for folks to join? So we'll share information in the chat for you all to also participate in that event as well. But thank you all very much. All right. So with that, I'm going to pass it on to Aaron Wilcher, our research manager for the Greater Sacramento region. He works for the Center of Excellence. We're really excited to have him join us. Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you, Isabel. And just a kind of technology check. Can everyone hear me okay over there?
Yes, sounds great. Thank you, Aaron.
Awesome. And I think with that, we can go to the first slide, please. So it's great to be with you here today. This is, in a way, an update of a program that we did last spring in 2021 in the throes of the pandemic. And so it's great to be able to refresh the data and see how things have kind of progressed on this important subject that we're all grappling with. And I'm equally looking forward to listening and learning on the part of the program that's following the presentation here. Next slide, please. So our organization, the Centers of Excellence, for those of you who may not be familiar with us, we're a program of the California Community College's Chancellor's Office, Economic and Workforce Development Division. We are focused on helping the community colleges and other community partners in the workforce arena to help guide program investments in career technical education programs that align with high growth and high wage employment. So we know we've got the strong workforce program out there, but there's tons of other cascading funding sources that are making investments in our talent pipelines and pathways. There's 9 offices around the state. I oversee the Greater Sacramento region office for the center that's housed at the Los Rios district. Next slide, please. So there's the 7 counties and the colleges that are in our region. There's 8 community colleges, but many of you come from other institutions and elsewhere around the state. So I'm going to be talking a little bit today about the concept and framework that I've been working with around this subject. And this is pretty similar to last time. As I mentioned, this is a kind of an update and refresh on the data. And I'll tell you a little bit about how we put this together. And then I'll share with you some of the findings, a couple of middle skill profiles, and then some kind of key takeaways and potential actions that we could take. Next slide, please. So let me tell you a little bit about the concept, the framework for the analysis that we've been undertaking. Next slide, please. So these next couple slides come straight out of the management and policy literature scan that we conducted. And the first one here is a nice summary that I thought is a useful touchstone for defining AI. So I'm just going to paraphrase this here. It's AI is a collection of capabilities that lead to making decisions. AI is different than traditional algorithms because the capabilities learn throughout a process to understand information. AI and machine learning algorithms have to be trained to comprehend an environment. It's a great report. I recommend checking it out from the Oregon Workforce and Talent Development Board. And that link, if you do get the PowerPoint, links over to the report. Next slide, please. So this kind of wild looking graphic here, I think is wild because AI is pretty wild. The literature, also talks about this just tremendous complexity here. And again, I just kind of quick paraphrase from this National Security Commission report. AI is a constellation of technologies, a collection of technology called the AI stack. It requires talent, data, hardware, algorithms, applications, and integration. So there's all these technologies and systems that are overlapping throughout AI and its applications. Some of these are in specific industries, so we can think of like predictive maintenance is applicable to industrial operations and manufacturing, large logistics operations like ports or fulfillment centers. And then other technologies and applications are more generalized across many, many different industries. Machine learning, cloud computing have various different applications. Next slide, please. So this concept, I think I really want you to kind of remember this, because as I'm going through the slides on our data findings, I keep coming back to this as a framework. And this is something that's really critical in terms of understanding, I think, the potential impacts of AI on the workforce in the future. And I think this is something that we really want to hear from our industry advisors and education experts in this area in terms of what they're seeing. And here's where I'm really going to be kind of listening in to what folks are observing out there. So this framework really came from another report, a 2020 survey that Deloitte conducted that talks about, these architects and builders and another group of workers, these translators and implementers. I collected job titles from the literature that kind of corresponded to each one of these categories. And you can see here that at the top level, there's these, hardcore STEM builders, the data scientists and engineers and programmers who are building the tools. And then there's these translators and implementers, those of us like me who are using the tools to try to guide and inform process improvements business leaders, managers, analysts, technicians, and end users who are increasingly doing our work with AI systems. I think in reality, the more I read the fine print in the jobs postings, the more I realized that there's not such a hard and fast line between these two categories. I mean, even the hardcore, like technical people play a big role in advising and informing cross-functional teams across a range of business groups within their organization. So as we're thinking about this, there's a kind of a continuum that to me is still a little fuzzy, but the analysis we did in the jobs postings do kind of anchor us in a certain kind of way. And I continue to find this concept as a useful touchstone. Next slide, please. So let's talk about like how we did our updated analysis. Next slide. The last time around in spring of 2021, when we did this, we really kind of landed in on two concentrations where we did our analysis on AI, looking for jobs in the workforce. The concentrations were in healthcare and manufacturing, but you can see here that there's like a tiny number of postings that we yielded. The sample size was really quite small. In particular, then when you like put that against the total number of postings in those industries, it's just like a tiny fraction. And this is basically looking at a 1 year recent data set from the jobs posting. We use a tool called Burning Glass, many probably are familiar with. We found a lot of these were in larger employers and specialized technical fields, and that computer science was the most common field that was referenced. Next slide, please. So here's the criteria that we used. I hope this is useful to other researchers that they're conducting their work in other regions. So we use these 4 keywords that I'm showing here, which resulted in the most clear kind of return on AI-specific jobs postings. We did a refresh on this, made a couple of adjustments. Again, a 12-month look in Sacramento area. And I want to note a couple key differences here. First of all, we got more results, which is interesting. So we had more kind of data to draw on. Some of the postings, a minority but significant number, were for companies that, according to my research, don't have offices in Sacramento area, but they're like citing Sacramento and a possibility of remote work. And so there's a couple differences here. Bigger data set, little bit of, you might call it noise, but remote work citing SAC as a potential place to work from, but the office is not local. Next slide. So you can see here the reason we got more results. And that is when we look at the trend line for these AI specific postings between Q4 2017 to Q3 2022, we're getting more results. That's both at the state level as well in the region. Not surprisingly, we're seeing this sort of this recent decline in postings, and that just is, I would guess, as I'm sure you would, that it's reflecting the headlines in terms of what's going on in tech industry. Next slide, please. So let's take a look at the context around industry sectors for AI. Next slide. The postings show that AI-related jobs are in a range of industries, but they're most prominent in a few. Those are like professional scientific consulting services and information, manufacturing, educational services, and finance and insurance. We're talking data here. And I just want to call something out to remember. These top 2 sectors, the ones that are kind of the head and shoulders above, are the ones that I created a detailed middle skill profile at the end of the presentation. Next slide, please. So just to kind of illustrate the prominence of those two industry sectors, technical services and manufacturing, in the Sacramento region, that's 60% of the AI-related jobs postings. And in California, it's a lower share than that. It's 15% points lower. 45% of AI-related postings are in these two sectors. You know, take a look at the N equals. I mean, we're not talking a gigantic number here. This is still pretty small, about 2,000 jobs postings returned for the region. Next slide. You know, just again, calling out this small number as kind of a reality check, so to speak. We've seen this uptick, but this is still a pretty tiny number. I mean, in manufacturing, we're only talking just less than 3% of the total postings cited one or more of those four keyword phrases for AI. Next slide. So getting a little bit more detailed in terms of the industries and businesses that are cited on this slide, we're going to talk about industries, which is a more detailed category than the sector. And, you know, again, here we're seeing the importance of manufacturing, professional and technical services, and education services. This just gives a little more detail on what industries we're talking about here. Again, you can see this big head and shoulders number at the top, and that's the semiconductor and electronic component manufacturing. And then the other ones below it, kind of management, scientific, technical services, business services, educational services, so forth. Services and data. Next slide. Here, just sort of going down the funnel, getting more detailed. So what businesses are we actually talking about here? As illustrated by these top employers. We've got Intel, Deloitte, Accenture, Micron. So here we go with component manufacturing, professional, technical, and business services. Again, here's a couple examples. I wasn't able to find a local office in SAC. There may be one that I don't know about. And then just kind of noting those that are, I was able to find an office in SAC. Some of these are our partners that we closely work with. Next slide, please. So let's look at the occupations and skills context. Next slide. So again, 2,500 postings, just get a sense of the scale here. We're talking about the results for occupations here across all those industries that we looked at. And this is a pretty similar theme to what we found in spring of 21. You know, a mix of these hardcore technical roles in software and computer science. And then you've got this kind of implementer side, the management and operations, marketing, sales, management analysts, general operations managers. I mean, this is still really a picture that looks like a bachelor's degree and advanced degree workforce. But again, the difference here and the sort of good news is we've got a little bit more data to work with, more breadth, and a little bit more to look at in terms of the potential middle skill approach beyond the super technical. Next slide. So the skills side, this is a skills report from the same data we just looked at. And, you know, you can see here that most of the report postings are including these high-level technical skills. Half of the postings mention machine learning. A third mentioned Python. A quarter mentioned data science. A bunch of other programming languages, C++, SQL, Java. But again, you know, if you start looking down the list, you can see these more generalist skills: project management, budgeting, customer service, and data analysis. Next slide. This I wanted to share. It's not terribly interesting, but basically just kind of another look, trying to dive into the top 5 sectors, looking at occupations and skills, and just kind of looking for evidence of other things that might yield some additional data. This by and large just kind of reinforces what I've already mentioned. The healthcare and educational services do show some different occupations: teachers, nurses, and social workers. There's going to be a breadth here. Many of us are going to be involved with data, data tools, interpreting data, feeding data back into the system, making process improvements, and so forth. Next slide, please. So this slide just illustrates the point that I'm making here. And it looks like I deleted some of my notes. Basically, what I want to point out here is, and actually, pardon me, let me go back one. That's where the notes are on this point that I want to make. Am I skipping something? If we go forward just one. Oh, the one that's got the Neapolitan ice cream on it. Back just one. There we go. Okay. Sorry. Thank you. So ultimately here, I was kind of looking for this middle skill picture. So what I did here was isolated the occupations based on their skill level that were returned from the results, a little technical, but this enabled kind of a look at the different skill level occupations. Most of the data here is occupational data, so we're out of the jobs postings for the most part, except that right-hand side of what you're looking at in the yellow is the jobs postings number. So this is a kind of, just a comparison of the number of jobs in related occupations as regardless of AI, and then the number of AI-related postings in each one of those occupations. The idea here and the observation is, as in the occupations that reference AI, the fewer the references to AI, the greater the number of jobs. And this is a little confusing. It's like, well, and so what does this mean? It's sort of fuzzy. I mean, there's a couple ways to interpret this, and maybe our panelists can help shed light here. It's almost like what we're looking at here is the potential for the workforce that's going to be impacted by AI, but most of them in the potential impact may be less involved in the super data analytics or builder side of things. So most people maybe are going to be involved in using and producing data, analyzing and supporting data, and creating process improvements. And whereas there's going to be a smaller number of workers who are actually building the tools. This may not be a totally accurate way of presenting it, but I think it's something that we're going to continue to try to figure out as we do our analysis. Next slide.
Okay, Aaron, when you go into the panel discussions, I will speak to that a little bit. I think I can explain why you see the differences in the number of job postings.
Super. That's, yeah. And this is, a lot of this is intended to be prompts for our panel. So thank you for that. And this slide just illustrates kind of the point I was attempting to just try to make, that, the further down the skill level, the larger the number of jobs. And, again, this kind of swirl between the architects and builders and the translators and implementers. And this will be something that we're going to need to continue to come back to. Next slide, please. So, here, I think these last couple slides in my mind sort of anchor us in a little bit more, looking at this middle skill level approach. And I created a kind of a mini profile of the top job titles, skills, and employers for those middle skill occupations appearing in the top 2 industry sectors that returned AI-related postings. And just as a friendly reminder, the middle skill is this thing that the community colleges and other education and training providers frequently focus on, because it kind of engenders or offers opportunities in terms of certificate and associate degree level training that can yield jobs, or short-term kind of credential focus that could be useful for upskilling, contract ed, stuff like that. Next slide, please. So this first profile, if you will, and I won't go through this in detail, but you can see this is for the professional scientific technical services, and you can see this small but significant number of jobs postings, 123 postings. You can see the companies, the top employers there, many we mentioned in the intro slides, the job titles that resulted there, and then the skill requirements. So, I'll just kind of mention a general observation here, again, reinforcing this kind of mixture of data analysis and programming, and then business management, business development, like marketing and sales, project management, and customer service. And I think the literature really talks a lot about this. It's kind of like the more involved in data we get, the more human elements are emphasized as well. How to conduct these process improvements, communicate across teams, have mentorship and advisement capabilities. The soft skills side of things almost ironically get emphasized as well. Next slide, please. So this is on the manufacturing side, same observations here. You see the employers, the job titles, and the skill requirements. Just note that, the really small number of jobs postings, just 48 postings here on this side, Greater Sacramento region, middle skill manufacturing. Next slide. So just 2 last slides here and kind of wrap up takeaways and observations. Next slide. So again, concentrations of AI-related jobs postings in technical, scientific, technical, and professional consulting services, manufacturing, educational services. Get a little bit more breadth this time than we did last spring, more postings to look at. Still small number of postings focused on high-end engineering and computer science. A growing number of kind of middle skill related postings we're able to look at. And then, being able to look at, and I think my next slide will kind of point this out, is how can we sort of start to form a kind of a profile for what AI adjacency might look like, those folks interacting with the systems, but not building them. What might that look like? And what's the kind of potential impact that we're looking at here? I mean, this is the future of work conversation. We look at this huge number potentially of impacted workers. What are they going to be doing in terms of their need to understand the tools on the implementation side? And the last slide here. So last time we pointed out, I mean, this obviously calls out, I think, continuing to support transfer pathways into engineering and computer science. But again, I think for the panel, and I'm glad one of our panelists spoke up here, how can we start to identify what key target middle skill occupations and job titles we need to be focused on, and how can we equip ourselves to train up that workforce? What are the AI adjacent skills? The kind of, this is almost like a question about digitalization initiatives. What are these kind of adjacent skills that we're gonna increasingly be needing to train up our workforce on? These may not require programming languages, but they may to an extent. And then, how can this information just yield the appropriate tool for the job from an education and training perspective? That is to say, are there short-term non-credit or other modes of delivery that will best serve the needs for our employer partners? And I know that some of our colleges and other education training providers are already working on this. So with that, let me wrap up. Thank you for your time. I'm looking forward to kind of hearing from the panel on some of these important topics. And with that, I will close down and turn it back over to Isabel.
Thanks so much, Aaron. Really appreciate that background and that foundation for our panel discussion. I just want to give a few minutes for audience members in person or online. If you have any questions for Aaron, just want to give some space to clarify. Sure. None? All
I
right.
guess I have one quick question, if I may.
Yes, please. Marcus.
This is Marcus Geisler from Cosamno Server College. My question is, when you did the background searches on AI, you mentioned data science briefly, but how frequently did you come across any kind of correlations between the two and any kind of connections between the two, Aaron?
Yeah, I mean, Marcus, the best answer I would have is to actually look at the data itself. So if we go back to, and I'm not sure, can we pull up one of the slides again?
Yes, we'll get that up real quick.
And here I might ask to go to slide 20 that calls out the skills. So Marcus, those 4 keywords that we used that, you know, in the course of developing the method, reading the literature, going to the jobs postings back and forth, and trying to find that criteria that most resembled the specificity that wasn't returning a lot of noise. So we have those four keywords. Certainly it's not everything. There's the method of the jobs postings, right? It's not, there are issues with jobs postings. At any rate, here's the result from the skills point of view. And I think your question was about computer science, is that right?
Data science, actually, Aaron.
Data science. So here it's showing a quarter of the postings that were returned had a reference to data science.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Aaron. And that's a really good point for us as we highlight our data science programs and folks that are in the room, how we can improve those programs. And I will start leading into our panel discussion if there's no other questions. All right, sounds great. Well, I'm really excited because we have a diverse set of folks from all over. Technology allowed us to do this, but we have an industry panel of folks from different stages of their careers, and really excited to introduce them. We have Alexander Lee. He's a NASA Community College aerospace scholar and also a student at Sac City College. He recently worked at Intel as a summer data science and undergraduate intern within the company's machine learning, advanced analytics, and data science team, everything we're talking about today. One thing that I wanted to share is he created a profit model which aimed to predict customer demand for Intel's processor line. So all our other industry folks, look out for Alexander Lee. And then we have Anand Pranjpi. He's from Microsoft. He's a principal software engineering major. He works specifically in the Office 365 suite of products, and a product specifically called Intune, which is a mobile device management suite. We're really excited to have him, and he also shared that he likes hobbies like biking, photography, cooking, and enjoying food from all over the world. So he is not, you know, just isolated into his tech. He's a whole-rounded person sharing his expertise. And then we have Dylan Steele from Databricks, a product design lead. He's currently working at Databricks, and he graduated from Carnegie Mellon University in Pittsburgh. He grew up in Seattle, enjoys cheering on his hometown soccer team, the Sounders. Additionally, we have Ethan Eldridge joining us from Ifinity Solutions Architect, so locally. And he's also an adjunct professor at Folsom Lake College. So really excited to have the collaboration piece at the end with these folks. And then we have Helen Wu from App Dynamics, which is a component of, or a part of Cisco. And she worked at Lippincott as an innovation consulting intern and Inuit as a project design intern. Helen has also contracted for Boeing and PNC Bank. So we have such a great panel, really excited to have them join us today. And we'll spotlight them as we go. But our first question for folks is, if you could just give a brief overview of your organization, including your role and kind of your reaction to the presentation that we just had from Aaron. We'll start off with Alexander.
Hi, everyone. I am a NASA aerospace scholar, and this summer I was a data science intern at Intel. That's pretty much my brief introduction of my institutions. Thank you.
Thanks, Alex. And then we'll have Anand join us in.
Hello, everyone. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Hi. I am a principal engineering manager at Microsoft. I've been with Microsoft for about 22 years and with 5 years at Intel. And throughout my career, I've worked on various different products and projects, including SQL Server, Windows, and all of that experience has led me towards my current job, where we don't directly work on AI, but we look at some of the aspects of how we can use AI and ML for deriving some insights in terms of what customers need from their hybrid work environment. So we apply some aspects of ML and AI towards how we build products.
Thank you so much, Anand. And then I'll pass it on to Ethan.
Hello, my name is Ethan Eldridge, and I am a solutions architect at Ifinity full-time. And in that position, I get to design and build software that primarily serves the healthcare vertical. And so seeing opportunities for machine learning, data science, it's a part of VSP Vision Service Plan, which also has a pretty sophisticated department in this area. So happy to see this connection being made. I am also a part-time adjunct professor at Folsom Lake College, and I taught the introduction to machine learning and artificial intelligence last year. Alexander was one of my students, so great to be on the panel together, and really excited to see how this can, what I can bring back for students, and how we can this can benefit, bring so many benefits. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ethan. Really appreciate it, and exciting to have your student and you showing the progress in our career pathways. I'm going to pass it off to Helen.
Hi. I currently work at this company called AppDynamics, which is part of Cisco. It was a startup that was acquired by Cisco. And I'm sure like most of you here know what Cisco is. It's one of like the bigger tech companies. Main business is in like hardware, SD-WAN, routing, but now like Cisco has grown a significant software portfolio as well. So some companies that you might know that you might not know belong to Cisco include Duo Mobile and WebEx. So my role at Cisco is what I think in the presentation we referred to as a human-computer interaction specialist. More colloquially, I'm a product designer. I design for what's called application performance monitoring. Our product basically allows developers to find problems in their troubleshooting journey, and we offer what's called like full stack observability so that they can see all points of performance within their tech stack. So my role, even though it is in the arts, is more technical than I think most people's, and it would be one of those data adjacent sort of roles. Yeah.
Thanks so much, Helen. Really appreciate it. And I'll pass the mic to Dylan.
Hey all, yeah, I'm Dylan Steele. I currently have been working at Databricks as a software engineer for about 2 years. Yeah, I work on a product, I guess it kind of goes at our company's main mission of like democratizing data. So as a whole, we're trying to make data easier for companies to collect, to like interpret, to analyze, and to like benefit from. So, companies are, collecting a bunch of data and like, how do they make use of it? And so the product I work on is related to like kind of transforming that data, cleaning it up, and extracting a lot of useful information from it. And it's kind of like, the basis of AI and ML is, you have to have this really good data to start with. And so a lot of our products are kind of like built on top of this platform. And, you see a lot of customers using our like AutoML and other ML AI products trying to build like really cool products, kind of some of the stuff that we've mentioned before that everyone was talking about.
Thank you so much, Dylan. Really appreciate you all being here. I'm going to jump into some of the questions we prepared, but we will give time for the audience and both virtually and in person to ask questions as well. Our first question is, what specific emerging skills are you seeing in candidates candidates are missing or applicants are missing, and what that you wish they had today, as kind of as a reaction also to the data that Aaron shared? And I will let you guys, jump in as you see fit for our first speaker.
If no one wants to go first, I can speak from firsthand experience having worked at Intel this summer. So coming from a community college, there was initially a huge adjustment gap for me. I had never gone inside of Intel's headquarters in Folsom before. Going in was like, it made me feel like a kid in a candy shop, like I saw like the cubicles, the cubicles were there, of course, but like the people there, the intellectual vitality, the amount of brain power at Intel was really fun to be engaging with. It was a great opportunity. In light of that, I had some economic uncertainty at the time. Me and my mom were going through sort of a rough patch because she had been a victim of domestic violence. So I was doing most of my internship out of a car with the Wi-Fi in coffee shops. Now, I still made it. I delivered on a project. My project was a profit model, right? To accomplish this, I worked with my teammate, and we worked on graduate level time series forecasting, and we worked with Excel sheets that were millions of rows long. So we finagled together a Python code base that analyzed each cell and processed each cell like that. So that's where the data science bit comes in. But I really wanted to just speak to the lack of preparedness that we felt going in. We were both interns, we were both undergraduates. So getting to speak with graduate level interns and learning from them was really huge. What I saw first and foremost was the amount of diversity there is to approach things. So you're often taught that there's only one tool or one programming language to utilize from to be able to solve a specific task or problem. And this is not the case. You can solve things with R, with Python, with SQL, with any other language, as long as you understand logic or framework or code. Like if you understand how coding works, it's at its core just syntax and logic. So when you approach a problem, for me, coding is a lot like solving a large puzzle. I want to create blocks that fit into that puzzle to get ultimately from point A to point B. So learning that and communicating that with the business side of Intel, was really crucial for my internship, because often not when you communicate with people who have a technical skill set and a non-technical skill set, it's very important to clarify what those bricks mean and how they interact with the larger business problem. For example, if you're communicating that, so-and-so statistics correlate with so-and-so forecast and so-and-so performance, it's very important to flesh out just how that fits in the business side perspective. And what that means is being able to communicate things non-technically. So this is why I wanted to create soft skills. Soft skills are very important in developing a technical workforce, because you will need to be able to develop a workforce that is able not only to function technically, but to also communicate the resources and the performance of technical data to a business use case solution within a larger company. Thank you.
Alexander, thank you so much for sharing that. Also, just like sharing your struggle and that you've made it through, congratulations. And also just speaking like really specifically about the diversity of skills needed coming straight out of a program and then testing it out at Intel. So really appreciate that. I'm going to pass it on to Anand. I see your hand up. Thank you, Anand.
Yeah, hi. So excellent job, Alexander, on making it. Okay, it's never easy, but good job on successfully completing your internship at Intel. But can I share my screen? I think I will be able to illustrate my point a lot better.
Yes.
Right?
You should be able to. Awesome.
Okay, can you guys see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so it's a fairly busy slide. I won't read all of it, but really, in my opinion, I think careers in ML and AI, they are really part of the entire ecosystem in some way, right? There are really two aspects to working with data. You have sort of a system side of things, and then you have the application side of things, right? And I'll explain what I mean by some of those. But really,
Sorry, I'm actually, can you zoom in just a bit for the folks that are in person? It's just a little small. We see the presentation, but I was hoping you could zoom in just a little bit for us. Sorry to cut you off. Thank you so much. Or you can go into present mode. Yeah, that looks great. Or is that good for you folks?
Better.
Better? Okay.
better? Is this better or no? Not yet.
Yes,
Yes, better. Thank you.
Okay, all right. But really, careers in AI, in my opinion, they are part of the entire workforce, really, in any organization or any product. They are really building sort of a closed loop with respect to all the features that any product has, and using AI and ML techniques to really close the loop on building more useful features and or making some sense of the data that's collected. So really it is at the intersection of multiple different areas like software engineering, data sciences, applying those algorithms to really develop some insights. And in terms of skills that are required, right? Rather than saying, okay, I'm going to go build skills that target AI, I think that might be very myopic in some sense, right? Because you may land up with a very small segment. And earlier, what Alexander said, right? The data that any organization has to work with, it is never in like, okay, you will have it in only one source. You essentially have to really work with data that comes across many different sources. Some of it may not even be readily usable. So you have to actually go through a whole bunch of transformations, cleansing that really is required. But in terms of skills, and the two big categories here, you have the systems portion of it, which is really need to understand some basics of computer science, how systems are built. Then you need to understand aspects of math. Need to understand how algorithmic thing. You need to have that algorithmic thinking in terms of how do I even collect this data? How do I store this data? How do I access the data in a much more fast way? Then you have all these programming languages. And sometimes you have to use not one, but you have to use many different programming languages to really transform things and really make some sense out of it. And then comes your some math techniques around math, statistics, understanding decision trees, predictive models, things like that. And then I think with all this base, you actually now start kind of building and understanding some machine learning algorithms like regression, classification, things like that. So I think it's a sort of a pyramid in terms of you need to build a solid foundation towards having a career in AI. And then when you do that, so when you have the system side of things, that enables you to work on essentially the cloud providers, the cloud builders. You are actually building some of the AI tools by itself and the data visualization software that is used by a lot of ML engineers, right? And then when you actually go to the other side of things in terms of using ML and applying ML techniques to make some sense of the data, that's where most of the other sort of consulting jobs and the industry specific applications come into play. And earlier, Marcus, you had a question around only data science jobs versus why do I see only a small segment of data science, right? Because it's really part of the entire ecosystem. You can't really zone in only on data science and build that level of expertise. So that's really my sort of a 5-minute lengthy example and lengthy answer on what skills are really required.
Thank you so much, Anand. That's really helpful for the programs that are in the room, for the educators in the room, how they're going to share that breadth of knowledge and skills. I'm going to pass it on to Ethan to share kind of the emerging skills that you see in the field.
Thank you.
Share with your students in real time as an adjunct faculty.
Yes, yes, yes. When we saw Aaron's presentation open, it started with a statement about what is it that we're actually talking about, which I have found is where a lot of people are coming from, whether it's in work or in the classroom setting. There's a recognition that this field is important, and to some degree, it almost has a little bit of a magic feel to it. And so getting a baseline literacy, I think, is helpful for in many contexts, whether or not it's actually going to be applying the machine learning or artificial intelligence skills directly, or understanding how those skills impact the career or the profession that is the primary focus. I work with product managers, and I had students who were lawyers, and there's a deep interest in what is this technology and what does it do? How could I use it? And so I have found that those core understandings, what is it? How does it work? What is it good at? What is it not good at? What are the requirements to use it? Are beneficial, whether or not it becomes a centerpiece of the further pursuits. So that's when I ask what are the skills when it comes to this field, I would advocate for some foundational understanding of how it works so that it can be deeply understood. Where can it be applied effectively? Where can it not be applied effectively? There are follow-on conversations around, okay, how do I work with it? How do I make sure it's doing what I expect, and so on. But that I have found that to be fairly far along the learning trajectory, and certainly, as Aaron said, there's going to be some individuals who want to pursue that, and that is the core. But I think there's a much broader community of students and professionals who would benefit from just that awareness and a certain level of understanding of the mechanics under the hood. Look behind the curtain.
Thank you so much, Ethan. And with
Thank you.
So many educators in the room, I think it speaks to this lifelong learning that more folks are thinking about, especially in this field with things moving so quickly and skills changing. So thank you for that. I'll pass the mic to Helen, and then Dylan next. Thank you for your patience.
Yeah, so I'm non-technical, even though I am more technical than most designers. So I am going to talk a little bit differently about it here. But I do think that roles like mine include a lower barrier of entry and are also more open for people that might not have the correct traditional background going into this type of field. I think it's because as a designer, I work with data, I work with metadata, with tagging, with query language, with SQL, but all of these things are things that I picked up on the job. To get my foot in the door, I had to be a really strong communicator and a really strong researcher. And I also had to have a really strong visual design sense. I think all of these are applied or presented, packaged in a way for corporate people to recognize through case studies. And one thing that could be really useful, I think, from a community college level is inviting other companies to come in and collaborating with them so that students can get that company's name on the resume as they apply these soft skills to solve this type of problem. I also graduated from Carnegie Mellon, and I think one of the advantages of an institution like that is that we had access to classes that had resources who would like our professors would reach out to alumni who work at PNC Bank, and then they would partner with us to do a project so that we could get that name on our resume and also have a really strong portfolio piece. None of these require any sort of like textbook type learning. Instead, it's very much like applied and on the job. So yeah, my advice would be to like kind of figure out a way to maybe help integrate that into the curriculums.
Oh, and that's really helpful. I really appreciate that perspective, and I know a lot of folks do as well. And interested to learn more about how we can improve our partnerships with employers to ensure that students get those opportunities. You know, we're in the Sacramento region. We're not as techy as the Bay, but we're doing our due diligence, and we have a lot of great opportunities here as well. So that's really helpful. I'm gonna pass the mic to Dylan for this.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dylan.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
Yeah, to kind of continue Helen's point too, I guess in terms of like the internships, like the number of interns I've seen, the majority are from California schools at my company, just being a San Francisco based company. But the like second largest cohort is actually University of Waterloo in Canada. And they have a really interesting model for like training their students in that it's usually a 5-year degree, I believe, but students are required to complete like 3 or 4 internships, and they actually happen during the school year. And so we've seen those students just be really far ahead of other interns because of that industry experience. And I think it's something that can be totally replicated at other schools. The cost of like the longer schooling is like offset by the internship experience. You just get a lot more variety of experience. You kind of get more trials of like what you enjoy or what you like to do. And also say like, even though, Sacramento may be less techy, one of the trends I've seen in AI is the emergence of low code and no code AI platforms. And so what that means is you don't have to necessarily know Python and R, SQL, and kind of like that harder technical data science skill. It's certainly really valuable. I think that foundation is going to be valuable forever. But you have like the option now to be less technical, but still be involved in the like AI workforce. And so what that can mean, is you're using a product like Levity, where, maybe you're working in like a healthcare insurance startup, and you have a bunch of like data around like patients, and you're going to try and like interpret that data, and you don't really need to know like what are the underlying algorithms, but you kind of need to have some intuition about like, okay, what is the important data, and then therefore like how would I use like AI on that to like get some result. Another option is, maybe you're working in like logistics, again, you don't really need to know so much about AI, just so much as like, this is like my objective in logistics. And so really you're using AI as like a tool and not as a career. It's just something that you learn as kind of like a side skill. And so you don't need to necessarily be an AI engineer building all of these systems. You can be in, Sacramento or, any other place that doesn't have a like wealth of technology firms and still be someone very much involved in like the AI workforce.
Thank you so much, Dylan. Really, really appreciate that, especially as we like focus in on those middle skill jobs, that opportunity is there, and we have lots of resources to speak to that. Do you have a question for Dylan?
For Dylan.
Oh, okay.
Buddy Spicek from Semmes River College.
Can you hear him, Dylan?
Very, yeah.
Oh, let me grab the mic then real quick. Sorry. We will take more questions at the end, but let's just do this.
Just one.
Yes,
Yeah.
of course.
Hi, Dylan. This is Buddy Spicek. My question to you is, when you talked about low skills for the programming or no skills for programming, could you expand upon that in more of the use of natural programming language?
Yeah, for sure. And just to clarify, it's low code, no code. I wouldn't say low skill, no skill. It's still skilled labor. It's just you don't have to necessarily code to be good at it, or like there's less coding than you might expect. So yeah, to expand on it, I guess if you've ever used like a voice digital assistant, right? You're using AI, and you can somewhat like program your digital assistant with like very simple commands. You're like, oh, when I say turn off the lights, like you control this light switch. And you've basically done like a little bit of programming. That's not quite AI, of course, but there is this like natural language processing going on. And there's going to be a lot of these kinds of applications where they let you, kind of do this like simple logic, and they'll get more advanced over time. There'll be more functionality provided where it's kind of like drag and drop, or simple like if this then do that kind of. And I think like a lot of AI will be powering that. There's of course like some complications on like, do we want AI involved in everything? I think we'll probably touch on that later. But yeah, that's where I would stand. And it looks like Alex has a comment.
Hi, I just wanted to respond really quickly in conjunction with Dylan and Helen. I do really think that design also plays a crucial role in getting and attaining some of those skills. Coming from a community college firsthand as a student, and then coming to a high-paying and high-yield job at Intel, I think is a large jump, right? And to kind of mitigate that jump, having those skill sets and having those connections with employers like both Helen and Dylan have mentioned is extremely vital. So I was very fortunate to be a part of a program called the Intel Community College Mentorship Initiative, where I was paired with an Intel engineer, and I got to spend about 5 weeks with that engineer developing soft skills, learning about the culture at Intel, but also developing connections. I think having the opportunity to have those connections really gives you kind of like an out of textbook learning experience and out of classroom learning experience, where you're kind of mentored, you're taken under their wing, and you're taught things that you would not learn in school, especially at a community college level. And we're not even talking like low code, no code. We're talking about like how to carry yourself professionally, how to take care of yourself at a corporate level, how to convey those ideas, how to work effectively and cohesively with people. And I think that is an extremely vital skill. But just to reiterate on like the non-technical parts, having an acknowledgement of design and design thinking, I think is really important. Because in my class with an introduction to ML with Ethan, I learned about like design thinking methodologies. And those are extremely vital when you're designing or creating any serious project, whether technical or non-technical. Thank you.
Thanks, Alex. I think you all did like a comprehensive job of answering some of my questions. So I'm going to skip down to number 5 for those of you who are following along on the panel. I was going to ask, what initiatives, if any, is your organization or business implementing to increase diversity, equity, and inclusion in your workforce? Big question, because everyone is really trying to grapple with this tough issue. So really curious about your experience with this. And I think I'll start with a non-diff, if that's okay.
Sure. Can you guys hear me? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So Microsoft generally takes diversity and inclusion very, very seriously. Right from hiring across the entire spectrum of universities, not just in the US, but globally as well. We pay special attention to kind of reaching out to all the different sort of the colleges and universities. We get the resumes, we actually screen those. And the way our systems actually work, in many cases, we just really focus on the content of the resume, right? Reason what skills is the person bringing to the table. From an interviewing panel perspective, we actually go through rigorous interviewer training in terms of how to really focus on the core skills and the impact that the engineers can bring. And it's actually quite funny. I'm delivering a training actually this week, earlier this week, to my entire organization around how to going through some situational aspects and trying to highlight certain comments and certain, like with a interview, there is like a script that we have written, and we tell our interviewers to go kind of highlight which portions of the interactions can raise flags, and how will you really really kind of work to just look beyond whatever dimensions the person brings, right? Whatever gender they may be, whatever their pronoun is, what ethnic background they are from, how whether they are working local or remote, right? And so we are really diversity and inclusion is very, very important to us as we hire as a part of Microsoft.
So much, and I'll pass it now to Helen.
So Cisco has a ton of like different resources for this sort of thing. In terms of like communities within the company itself, I literally took this from like the Cisco website, but I have interacted with a few of these communities. Just name a few: Cisco Asian Affinity Network, Cisco Black Employee Network, Cisco Disabilities Awareness Network, Cisco Connected Women, et cetera, et cetera. I think Cisco is named like #1 best place to work for LGBTQ communities, so that's really awesome too. Just like staying away from Cisco PR aside, in my experience, I have found Cisco to be an extremely welcoming community, and I think management and HR both enforce these types of values quite seriously. In terms of like diversity and inclusion for like hiring, I don't think we hire like non-technical roles non-degree for non-degree applicants very formally. At least within the United States, there is an apprenticeship program that is available within the UK itself, but I have heard that if you get like a Cisco certification, it definitely bumps your chances up way high to find a job here at Cisco. And like even within like diversity hiring itself, Cisco also partners with a lot of different organizations, once again taken from Cisco PR, but this is like National Society of Black Engineers, Society of Women Engineers, Society of Hispanic Engineers. Within my org itself, we've actually like spent a lot of money like funding. I think it was like it averaged out to like 100,000 per head of like different like BIPOC people to be like apprenticed in our own sponsored apprenticeship program from which we directly hired from. It was a high risk venture budget wise, but it was nonetheless like a huge effort that was made from our design organization within AppDynamics itself to commit to. So like I don't think there are a ton of like formal processes otherwise for like people with non-traditional backgrounds to enter into Cisco, but I do think there are different ways, and like different ways Cisco is also making an effort to formalize that process.
That's really helpful, Helen. I saw a bunch of people writing down some of the programs and opportunities that you were sharing, so really, really helpful there. Thank you so much. And I'll pass the mic to Dylan.
Yeah, Databricks has a like DEI portal. I don't remember the exact URL, but I'm sure if you Google like Databricks DEI, it will show up. But yeah, it's been one of our company initiatives for the past like year and a half, I would say. One thing we've done, and something I participated in last year, is a recruiting event through an organization called ColorStack. If you guys aren't familiar, it's like a way for, you know, like minority and underrepresented communities to kind of get more direct like recruiting access to. I'm not sure exactly what other companies are on there, but I assume like larger tech companies, maybe others. But we've done a few recruiting events through there. It's really nice. It's mostly kind of just like a get to know each other, like what roles are available, you know, what are you, you know, for like, you know, for the students, it's like what roles are available. And for us, it's, you know, like what kind of opportunities are you looking for? And I think those recruiting events have been really successful. We've definitely like expanded like the number of, you know, like DEI candidates that we've been looking at because of that. Just generally, you know, like, you know, recruiting from like certain schools, like pretty much like reduces your odds of like getting diverse candidates. So this was kind of like a new avenue for us. And it definitely is something we're going to continue doing. So if you have, you know, interested students in any of your programs, ColorStack is something I'd recommend looking at.
Really appreciate those recommendations, Dylan. Again, looking for this is a great way to, you know, connect and network, like Helen was talking about earlier, where You know, it's not necessarily the technical skills, you got to have those connections, and these are really great opportunities to connect our students with and folks in our region. I'll pass them on to you.
Hello, yes, thank you. A lot of recurring themes. The leadership at VSP is absolutely committed to having a diverse, equitable and inclusive environment. There is leadership, so setting the tone, setting the culture, setting the direction. My experience as an individual contributor is the awareness of the programs that are made available. There are at VSP, they call them business resource groups, BRGs. So again, these are spaces that providing opportunities for diverse interests and experiences and backgrounds and cultures and so on to have a place in the organization. At the same time, there is a very real commitment from HR, so it's not just a message, it's implemented, and the trainings that have been referenced and cultural sensitivities and awareness and biases, all of these are part of what it is to be at VSP. So it's hard not to repeat what's already been said. As far as a welcoming environment, a place that's inviting, welcoming, and encouraging a diverse environment, and actively seeking out ways to get better. I think that's an important part, that we're on a journey, and we're committed to go in the right direction. So that's a small flavor of the commitment from my organization.
So much, Ethan. It seems like you all have really welcoming jobs and environments. So really glad to have that in this space as well. And I'll pass the mic to Alexander, of course.
Hi, thank you. Thank you all, everyone here for your responses, and Nan from Microsoft, Helen from Cisco, Dylan from Databricks, and Ethan from VSP. I just wanted to touch on very briefly on like the reality of coming from a community college, because I think that pertains to a lot of the audience here, because certainly all of you are professors or higher education professionals from community colleges. So I think it's really relevant to establish what are the steps that are necessary to bringing in a qualified community college student who may be very hardworking, maybe taking a lot of classes, and maybe preparing themselves to transition and transfer to a bachelor's degree program, but ultimately reiterate that it is extremely crucial and important to be providing community colleges this step, because it is a very helpful step in attaining this future that they're all preparing to work towards, right? And the future that they're trying to work towards is integration into a workforce that is maybe AI or data driven, but at its core, having these connections is extremely crucial. So there's a lot of stigma, to be frank, that comes from being a community college student. At Intel, I was hesitant to mention one that I was from a community college, because everyone had assumed, oh, you're transferring to Berkeley, right? And so. And everyone had assumed that, you know, I was doing well, I was fine. But the reality was I'm coming from a community college student. My family is a first generation college family. So we are low income and we're just trying to make it, you know, we're not upper middle class like a lot of people think we are. So looking at that stigma, I think it's very, very important to make these opportunities available to students who show and demonstrate academic integrity and academic performance and academic progress, right? Because people in this country, I believe, especially at the community colleges, really want to pursue a future. For example, I mean, I went to NASA and I did a community college aerospace scholarship there that connected me to a lot of professionals who've helped, and I obviously have that experience at Intel as well. So giving that step to students really shows, not just by forming, you know, groups of empowerment for like Black caucuses and Asian caucuses and Latinx caucuses, but, you know, while those groups really help empower employees like at that company, it really shows that you are willing to take that step to empower young students who may be coming from a low income background or disadvantaged background, that you're really trying to make that step and enlighten their future. Thank you.
Thanks, Alexander. Thanks for shedding light on that. I think it's really like a great opportunity today that we have these panelists come in to share kind of their resources and how we can connect students to those at the community college level. It's really, so thank you for that. And I see Anand's hand. We're going to take his statement.
Yeah, I want to make 2 points here. There is companies focus a lot on diversity and inclusion, but there are really a couple of reasons. There are 2 reasons that I'd like to point out and why they actually kind of hold it in high regard. The first thing I would say is it just helps build products that are ready for the entire globe, right? And one example that really comes to mind is Microsoft Office back in kind of the late 90s. We actually had only the English version. So imagine the revenue impact if we only had Office that worked in English, right? Versus making it now available in 32 different languages on literally every PC around the world, right? And then other form factors also. But it opens up the market. The world becomes your market suddenly, right? That's one benefit. The second benefit, really, it allows you to kind of get into new segments and really design new products. Like, for example, if you'll remember, Microsoft had a hardware division where we manufactured initially only one single type of keyboard. And then when we started looking at the use cases, essentially with people with disability, how they would use keyboard, and then you got the mice with like the big roller, the roll ball, and you got sort of the split keyboard where people with disabilities are able to type for a long time and things like that, right? So there are core reasons to really include diversity and inclusion into your entire roadmap. So I thought I'll make that point.
Thank you, Anand. Appreciate that. I'm just really grateful for all of you all to take the time out of your day to share your expertise, your pathway,
Yes,
field, and to kind of provide opportunities for our folks here to improve opportunities for their students and the people that they speak for, or I don't have the words for me, but I'm really grateful for it, and I know a lot of people are grateful for it as well. So thank you all so much for your input and your time and the resources that you've shared today. This, right, and with that, before you all leave us, I just want to give a little bit of time for folks to ask. I did that, thank you, a little early. Questions from the folks in the room and online. Mark?
Yeah, I'm Mark Epstein, California Environmental Technology Education Network, and talking about skills preparation and a little bit as far as on the equity. I come from a K-12 background, and I see the real weakness that did not come into discussion is what we've got the situation in our K-12 when it comes to the basic digital skills and utilization of digital tools. K-12 has not changed very much since around 2000. Internet searches, word processing, PowerPoints, and basically lucky if we get into working with spreadsheets. And then on top of that, in schools and classrooms that have a larger population of economically disadvantaged and students of color, you get even less. And as we're looking at the trend lines in the workforce, you know, the big needs of what I'm seeing is the ability to collaborate, as far as the ability to communicate, and the ability to deal with as far as working with and interpreting data. And basically my question is, you guys from the technology industry, don't you think, or any moves to become more proactive in pushing K-12 to come basically along with what's been lagging over 20 some odd years?
Thanks, Mark. Oh, Alexander, thanks for jumping in. I'll just say that really grateful for that question. And yeah, definitely interested in to see if your organizations have any opportunities in the K-12 space or any resources you could share there. Go ahead, Alex.
Hi. So, prior to working at Intel and NASA, I was a IBM Z ambassador, and I spoke with students in Africa, students here in the United States at the K-12 level. There are a plethora of programs that are available mostly to upper and middle to upper income neighborhoods in their high schools. And these are the ICPC, the International Collegiate Programming Contest, which is also open to high schoolers or K-12. There's also hackathons across the country that offer these programs and initiatives. And at these events, students are exposed to industry technologies that are there and available to them that they can learn from. At Los Rios, I believe last semester, I hosted a hackathon with the Association for Computing Machinery chapter here, and in the audience is Abida Makaram. She's the faculty advisor for our ACM chapter, and that was an opportunity. So hackathons are available, but just to reiterate, yeah, in the low income and underserved communities, there is a lack thereof of knowledge to these opportunities, and two, mentorship initiatives and opportunities. There's obviously Course Kata, which someone put there, and there's other things online, but there really needs to be more of a bridge. So I'd like to make myself available if any K-12 professional would like to reach out to me. I do have connections with IBM, at Microsoft even, and at Intel. So I'd be more than willing to create not like just an informal mentorship program where I connect high schoolers, K-12 students with hackathons or other opportunities that may help them develop their careers. Thank you.
Thanks, Alex, and appreciate you, reaching out the hands and sharing your expertise. Leaving it open to the other panelists, if anyone has any K-12 programs that you will offer or, resources there, definitely would love to hear that.
I mean, so Cisco makes WebEx, and I think WebEx is like, they have like an education partnership program for like collaborative learning. I think, in terms of in like helping with computer literacy, I think being in a hybrid environment by default will probably help students a lot. Of course, it's not an one-size-fits-all solution. I think the primary reason why we don't see that in the K-12 system is because of a funding issue. And it doesn't matter how cheap you make WebEx, like if you don't have a computer, that's like a different issue. But I guess like there is some, and I don't really want to speak for corporate. I am all for like down with corporations, but like I there is some work that's being done in that space, and I will link it in the chat.
Thank you very much. And then I'll leave it with Ethan, and we'll get our next attendee question.
Yeah, on that question of K through 12. So when we were at Folsom Lake College, when we were designing the introduction to artificial intelligence and data science, we were conscious about having no prerequisites, that we wanted it to be available to anyone in the community who had an interest. So it was an opportunity for high school students. So I did have high school students in the class who did very well. So I want to just make that call out and solicit anyone who might see a connection that could be made between high school students and the artificial intelligence classes that are underway at Folsom Lake College.
Thanks so much, Ethan.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Local resource. Also going to pass it on to Jared Amalong from SCOE to speak a little bit about resources that they have.
Yeah,
or speak to this comment or question.
I'll be really brief. And Mark, thanks for your commentary.
Oh, can people online hear him?
Yeah,
Can you need a mic?
It's kind of been an ongoing conversation. I
Just really wanted to celebrate the we have middle school and high school teachers in the room that are helping build pathways that might feed your course, Ethan. And I think the expertise in the room, the resources that exist, I think can be scaled. We're starting to see funding come into the state to continue to grow computer science education specifically. Obviously, digital literacy is a much broader topic and it's a big thing to peel back. But I hope that folks, as we continue through the advisory committee meeting today, perhaps you might continue to stay here with us in SCOE will participate in our monthly community practice meeting, where we'll tackle some of these topics and talk about scaling access to computer science. So thank you.
No, I used the wrong one. That one's the backup, and I apologize about that. But we have another question for the panel, and then we'll move on to college programs.
Yes, my name is Avion Weaver. I work in K-12, so this is important to me as well. But I did have a question for Dylan. You said something about, I believe, color stack. What was that again? Can you please elaborate? And is that a website? If so, what was that? .com.org? What is that?
Yeah, wait, I'm sure. Yeah, okay, I'm not muted. Yes, it's ColorStack. I will post the URL right now. It's an organization that helps Black and Latinx computer science students get like hired. I have only been involved with like the recruiting side from like Databricks. But we basically, hosted kind of something similar to this, like a Zoom meeting where, students from across the country who were registered for the event got to come talk to myself, recruiter, and a few other like engineers from the company. It was fairly informal. It wasn't interviews, but we kind of just talked to the students about what we did. They asked us questions. A lot of the students went on to, apply and interview with the company. But yeah, ColorStack is the one that like hosted the like initial like get together event. I don't know if it was only online because of COVID or if they now are hosting like more events in person. But yeah, both times I've been involved have been like Zoom only or online only, I guess. I don't remember if it was Zoom.
And I'm so sorry. We have such an interactive in-person group. We have one more question. You all have time. I know we're like right at 2:30, but we still have the event until 3, but wanted to give this mic to Marcus.
Thank you. One more question for our industry panelists, and it's related to depth versus breadth. So assuming a similar level of social and professional skills, does your company prefer to hire graduates who have acquired a broader foundation of AI or data science concepts? Or would your company rather hire graduates who've acquired more intermediate or advanced skills within specific AI or DS related tools?
I can go first. I would first hire somebody that's a generalist than a specialist, because I can, when I'm speaking as a manager here, it's much easier to hire a generalist and then turn them into a specialist versus hiring a specialist and finding out later that it's not an exact fit or what they bring doesn't fit with the strategy of the product or the organization.
Thank you, Anand. Any other panelists want to speak on that? I saw lots of heads nodding in that comment, so appreciate it.
Yeah, I basically agree. I would say it is maybe not as relevant since we're focusing more on college, but like the more experienced you are, the more like specialized I would expect a candidate to become naturally. But yeah, I get like for new grads, totally generalist would be the way to go.
Thanks, Dylan. And then I'll just leave it open for any other panelists that want to speak to that.
So speaking from first-hand experience, my team was comprised with both graduate and undergraduate and a community college student. So obviously, I feel like companies would rather hire someone who's more qualified than not. But I just wanted to reiterate that I was very grateful for the opportunity I was given. So giving community college students that leg in the door opportunity to, be exposed to and learn from and get mentored by graduate levels people in industry is a huge opportunity. So I hope that continues to be the case. Thank you.
Thanks, Alexander. All right, and with that, again, thank you all so much for your time. We are going to move into a segment to learn about the community college programs that we have available and see how we can, I know Ethan is faculty for one of these programs, so really excited to learn more on the local level. Appreciate you all, and we'll go back to the slides if okay, Danielle. Thank you so much. or whether to wave or to clap sometimes with the hybrid space, and I don't know which way to look. So really appreciate you all running with this with me. All right, and I'll pass the mic to Lily Shi.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for providing such a wonderful, great information regarding AI and data science. I guess I don't have to say too much about the job demand and job market is in high demand because Aaron provided all that information. So maybe I can go straight to the program from my college. Anyway, so maybe a few images, I can just show that. Well, anyway, many entrepreneurs and investors are predicting that in the next 10 years, data science and software will do more for medicine than all of the biological science together. So that's how data science will be in demand, data scientists. And so data science is, can we go previous image? Yeah, so data science is a multidisciplinary field, right, that focuses on discovering meaningful and actionable insights from large data sets on structured and structured data. So you can see the overlap of the relation between disciplines. So data science, mathematics, statistics, computer science, and business. And also data science and AI, artificial intelligence, is a big overlap. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. So the job demand and also the national median annual wage is over 6 digits, right? So that's just bachelor degree, and much higher than all the other occupations. And maybe we don't have to go at the link, I guess. And also the employment of data scientists is projected to grow 36% from 2021 to 2030, and much faster than the average of all other occupations. All right, next slide.
And then Lily, if you don't mind speaking up, it's just a little bit quiet on the in-person. I don't know virtually, but.
Okay, how about now? Better?
Thank you.
Okay, very good. Okay, and also the job skills related to this data scientist, as Aaron pointed out, is pretty much Python, SQL, and machine learning stuff. So I'll use here listed here. Already covered, I guess. Let's go to the program street here. Next slide. Okay, so this is our program from Sacramento City College. And we currently have a certificate program, which it was created 6 years ago. And we have increased student enrollment and the demand. So we're actually currently we're in the process of hiring another adjunct faculty. Hopefully they can teach data science courses. And the certificate is already in the catalog. Now we have this data, we are proposing this data science degree program. And so these are the courses ask for the industry input and approval. So we have a 350 that data science management and the programming that will cover SQL, which is the skill we need as a data scientist. And the 301 where students will learn all these fundamental algorithm design and implementation. We can use any language. Currently, we use C++. The next one, 350, with an introduction to this data science, will be using Python. So I end up the data analysis, we will learn all these statistics that would be needed to understand how to do data modeling, machine learning, and the data visualization. Okay, next slide. I only have 5 minutes, right? So I want to just talk 2-3 minutes. So I want to leave the other 2 minutes for the industry input and approval. So we have some industry leaders here who are data scientists. So any input? Are you approved this program? Dr. Bing, Alex, Helen? Comments?
Sorry?
Yeah, so I need your comments and approval because this is CE related program will require industry consensus for this degree. AS degree. We already have certificate degree, but we need this approval from the industry.
I'm so sorry, Lily. We won't be able to do the approval today in this meeting, just with the short time. I think it'll just be an informational piece today.
Okay.
But hopefully, you know, with the context and networks that we've had today, with the industry panelists, we can get that kind of approval done in kind of an offline meeting. I apologize about that.
Oh, all right. So maybe get some comments from the industry leaders regarding our program. So that
yes.
Go to the previous slide, maybe.
Sorry to interject, but I do believe that having a degree program would prepare community college students more for industry. I believe that I could have taken these classes and that would have helped me even more in my internship. So I definitely think it would be vital. Thank you.
Dr. Bing?
We definitely love that. We definitely appreciate this data science program. I think that Lily and her team are doing a great job and want to promote it. We just won't be able to do the formal curriculum approval in this.
I see. Can we hear something from Dr. Bing? Dr. Bing?
I'm sorry, who is that?
Dr. Bing, I would like to hear something from the industry leader. Dr. Bing, are you here? Oh, maybe not. All right, so Helen?
I am so sorry. I am definitely not the person to ask for this. I would definitely recommend asking either Anand or Dylan more about this because I graduated with a bachelor's design.
Okay.
So
I think what we'll do is, I'm sorry to interrupt. I think what we'll do is we'll talk offline to do these formal approvals, and we'll move towards just sharing information about the next program.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. So mine's done.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And then we'll move on to Suha from Folsom Lake College sharing their AI and data science program. Oh, sorry, I said data science because we were talking about the ML program. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So hello, everybody. Are you hearing me well?
Yes, thank you so much, Suha.
Thank you. So I'm Dr. Suha Al-Juburi. I'm the Computer Information Science Chair in Folsom Lake College. And we started an AI and machine learning program here in Folsom Lake College. Next, please. Next slide. So in Folsom Lake College, we have a vision that we need to open our mind and doors to the power of education and to have students inspired and be part of the global citizen. And working toward that, we are trying to be adopting all modern technologies or topics and have it available to our students. And that's what we mainly focus in. Next, please. Program goal is to bringing AI and ML to beginner higher education. So thinking of artificial intelligence and machine learning program in community college, it was not being a part of community college degrees or certificates for a long time. And especially in Sacramento region, we are the first community college that provide this kind of program, and that start back on August 2020, when we start partnership with Intel to expand their workforce program, and that's what you'll see in the next slide, please. So when Intel start an AI for workforce program, and this was including a total of 18 community college around 11 states, and in Sacramento region, we are the only college that offering this program. So we start partnering with Intel, and we back on January 21, a group of folks, like with 3 instructors from Folsom Lake College, including myself, Ethan Eldridge, and another part-time faculty. We start an Intel training on the AI program. after finishing that writing, we kind of have an AI group, and me especially and Ethan was working on creating AI courses to be available for our students. Can we move to the next slide, please? I think there is a slide before that.
I did omit some slides as we agreed as they go into the course content, but I can go grab those real quick.
I mean, it's fine. I can go through the content of the slide. What the slide was showing, when we start thinking of creating an artificial and machine learning degree and certificate in Los Rios and Folsom Lake College, there was no a lot of alumni data about AI and workforce jobs in Sacramento region. So the Center of Excellence provide a special document about the alumni information for artificial intelligence in Sacramento region. And based on that, we started a new designator, CIS Data Science, to start creating a group of artificial intelligence courses, and we delivered 6 brand new courses, and those courses was the next slide, please. The courses that we are. Can we move to the next slide, please? Yes. The courses that we are having is the Intro to AI and Data Science course, Intro to Machine Learning, Natural Language Processing, Computer Vision, Data Analytics with Tableau, and we will be wrapping all those informations with the Artificial Intelligence Capstone project. Ethan was one of the faculty leader who was teaching Intro AI. I think Alexander, one of his students on that course, and he will continue this journey with us, providing and teaching more of the AI courses. All those courses goes toward 2 degrees that we are offering. First, we are offering a certificate of artificial intelligence and machine learning, and an AS degree on artificial and machine learning associate degree. And I believe having those degrees available for community college students will open doors to those students to be part of the new AI and machine learning workforce. I apologize, I didn't mention anything about all the statistics about the work jobs and maybe the pay level for all AI jobs. I think all the industry panel and previous speaker, they discussed that, so we all know how important having such degrees and courses in our area. I know I have 5 minutes, but I really want to motivate students to be part of this program and degree, and I really want to provide them the basic skill needed, as I learned from, or as I heard from the panel, that we need to build an AI foundation for those students and awareness, so we'll be prepared to the next level of all those jobs in AI and ML. So I really I appreciate any company or any industry opportunities for those students to proceed their internship, their maybe have a new jobs, a new industry opportunities on the field of artificial intelligence and machine learning. Is there 5 minutes done? Can I talk more? Okay.
That was a really good wrap up, Suha, and we're really excited to have you and Lily share these programs as the community of practice event afterward. Our K through 12 partners are looking at, opportunities to like streamline their students into your pathway and build that career pathway up to our community college higher education space. So thank you so much, Suha.
If you please can share my contact information in the last slide. I will be really glad, and I'll appreciate it if you can contact me to discuss more about the opportunities. And before I end this, I am really thankful to have Ethan Eldridge as a part of AI group in Folsom Lake College. And I'm so proud of Alexander Lee of all the great job that you did. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Suha. And then moving into some other programming, we'll move to Suzanne DeMay, who has an ICT program on social media.
Yes. Hi, thank you so much, everyone. I will be really quick. I just have 2 quick slides that I was going to share my screen with and just show you what these are all about. So the first one, and I'm the department chair for business, by the way, at Sacramento City College. And we just did program review, and one new certificate is called the Social Media Marketing Certificate. So we don't have anything like this right now. And the whole reason for this, of course, is, social media being such a huge thing, and not only just personally, but in the business world. So this is to increase the presence by building connection and community with existing customers. It could be for businesses. And students will learn how to grow and build a strong brand presence and to use the social media platforms to connect with the target market and to grow. We're hoping that it's just going to create this innovative social media marketing campaign while they're in this courses. So, and here's the courses that are part of it. There are 15 units in total. So that's one. And then the other one, we actually have 2 certificates that we created. The other one is this Global Business Economics Certificate. We didn't have any in economics. And as you know, certificates are a great, baby step building block to have students complete degrees. So why we did this is to help students stand out when they're applying for internships and jobs and transferring, and to increase the interest in all of these courses. So this is going to focus on basic economic theory about business decision-making, resource allocation. It's the basic concepts of financial accounting and reporting, legal considerations, consumer behavior patterns, and basically all the impacts of globalization on the different classes and ethnicities and gender groups. So, and this is 13 units in total, and these are the courses right here. It's got the required is financial, macroeconomics, global studies, and then they can choose one elective. So there you go. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks so much, Suzanne. I'll move a bit to someone in the room, Buddy Spiza. Oh, you're behind me. Do you need the mic?
No, if you're not using it, I'm okay.
Okay, perfect.
Yes, I believe I forward the slide. Yeah. So.
Yep,
Yep.
she'll be
Okay.
pulling them up.
Yeah.
Go back here, for those of you online.
My name is Buddy Spisak, and I am a full-time faculty at Sindus River College. And the area I wanted to just let you know about is our cybersecurity certificate program. It consists of 29.5 units, and we've been partnering with Fresno City College with our student populations. We've been doing this since 2019, and we've had quite a following of students that have taken the certificate and have gone into the job market. So although we have the certificate here, one of the features that seems to be coming across from the student perspective is no cost when it comes to the textbooks. The fact that we're able to complete this program in a year has been very attractive, that they're able to complete these skills, and about half the students that finish want to go on and get additional skills. So these skills that we have, if we go to the next slide, we have a sampling of our schedule that we're working on currently right now with the students. 5 of these classes are using Cisco material, 1 is using Red Hat material, and 2 of them are using OER material right now. And what we're looking at is, if you go on to the next slide, some of the careers, we're just targeting just the very top line right now. These are the numbers that you see here are the national numbers. Although I don't have a breakdown here of how many are in California, a significant number of these jobs that are available are in the Bay Area. So if the students travel more than 50 miles, they're looking at some availability of jobs. What's nice about my partnership with Fresno is with the student population, they're interested in traveling to the employer. Go to the next slide. Some of the resources that we're using in our program is not only the Cisco Networking Academy, but we're also following up using the curriculum from Red Hat, which is preparing them for the Red Hat administrator. So the last three, we're also using Cyber to help students get industry certifications. We're targeting, giving them the academic degree. I'm putting together, getting the students encouraged to take the vendor certifications. I don't teach towards the vendor certifications, but I do try to encourage, I cover the material for the CompTIA A+, CompTIA N+, the Security Plus, along with the curriculum that Cisco's helped us with. On to the next slide. One of the things that's been a challenge is the students' understanding of the college system. So many of the students we have are the first year students right out of high school. We coordinate with the students knowing about the resources we have at the college. So they're wondering how the DREAM Act affects them or the financial aid affects them. So I do orientations before the start of the program that tell them their expectations we need of them. And I also have resources at the college that help them with the finances. On to the next one. So many of the instructors that are teaching are always, they're Cisco certified. They've gone through the Cisco instructor training. We do have our program as being online. So that's also helped the students that are out of the Sacramento area and out of the Fresno area. When we're going through, I've noticed that it seems to be that we're getting all aspects of the student populations. It's not any one particular group. Everybody that's coming in, I can see a diversity of students' engagement there. Men and women, different ethnic groups. We're not faced with as many challenges because we're so focused on skills building. Something that we've also added to the program is talking about policies. We reinforce NIST or ISMA in our content of the material that's being covered. We're talking about acceptable use policies, all the things that we need to get across the students, how government regulation affects the implementation of our infrastructure. And if you want to go to the next one, this is just a list of some of the certifications we have in our program. So the three of the classes that we're teaching are meet the requirements of the recent changes last year of the Cisco certification for Cisco Networking Administrator exams. On to the next one. This is just some of the contact information I have for the resources. I worked with Vern Farley at Fresno, and I'm at Consumers River College. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And one last program that we wanted to spotlight was from Daniel Gilbert Valencia.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes. Sounds
Great. All right. Thank you. I'm Dr. Daniel Gilbert Valencia. I am the one of the information security folks over at American River College. And the program that I'm presenting is one that's been going on for about a year and a half now. But the reason I'm presenting it now is we did find that we had missed this step of presenting it to the industry. Now, I listened to the other presentations and I know that there isn't time to vet or vote on this, though historically this has been the venue for that. So I want to be sure to get on your list for industry discussion. But what this cybersecurity and information security administration program is an apprenticeship program that is in joint with SEIU, with CalHR. So this is for state employees who are already working for the state, but not in information security yet, and not even in IT yet. They go through this program, and ideally when they graduate, they're able to be information technology security specialist within the state. Can you please switch to the next slide? It doesn't look like I have control. So this slide just mentions all the different individuals or individual entities that are involved. We have a lot of entities, including IBM and union members, as well as various California state departments putting this together. And this degree is something that we had to put together for the specific apprenticeship program. But if you go to the next slide, you'll see that it's essentially nearly a mirror of our existing cybersecurity associates and certificate program. The only difference is one course where SEIU and the union wanted to include CISS 341 or 342 as part of this degree, and we don't have that in the program that we already offer. So in order to make this 30 units, we got rid of one of the Cisco CCNA courses to fit it all in, but just that's to keep it between the 30 and to 34 units that are required for a certificate this size. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, we've been working on this for quite a while already. This is basically this spring will be the start of our second cohort of students to go through. The cohorts go through the program in about 2 years, and after that time, they're fully qualified to be ITA ones within the state, and the 2-year program is hopefully going to end for our first batch in this summer. Let's see, next slide, please. So I'm presenting this for the folks at CalHR and the Cybersecurity Jack. So if you have any questions or you want any more information on this, there is more information on the CalHR website, though I have the contacts listed above the email addresses if you'd like to reach out. And that program is hopefully going to, it was funded through a grant, and hopefully will continue. They're looking at how to find additional funding to continue this for longer than the 2 years it was initially intended, or excuse me, the 2 cohorts. So that is it for that one. And I want to make sure that I do a quick reach out to my colleagues in CIS. I am looking to do a small four-course advanced cybersecurity opportunity for students that's focused on getting students through the CISSP or the CISP exam. So if you're interested in collaborating with me on that, please let me know. And that will be one I can hopefully present at our next regional ICT conference. But thank you.
Thank you so much, Daniel, and thank you to all the community college partners that were able to share their programs. Thank you for the panelists. Thank you to our planning team and our folks, operating all of the tech today. We're really grateful for it. And thank you, audience, for coming in and joining this conversation. Hope you can join the COP, or the Community of Practice event, at 4 p.m. today with Skelly. Thanks all. Oh, and the resources in the survey will be available to you all after the meeting.